This video is the one I have been waiting to make for a long time. I just had to be able to put the puzzle pieces together of what I knew and not reveal it from me. This guy, Nicolas Maduro, is a Bolivarian revolutionary. Basically, in layman's terms, he's a socialist, old school socialist, just like others that have preceded him. And it is a bit of a murky, weedy argument to get into online about what socialism is versus capitalism and freedom. There's a lot of folks out here who will tell you it's about America and it's about. There is so much socialism in America right now. It's ridiculous and has been. And what this boils down to is this. My videos have made the allegation that Panama is at risk. And if Panama would fall, if something would happen to the canal, that it would cause an unimaginable amount of crisis, zombie apocalypse level stuff to go on here. The first thing that would happen is the prices of a great many things would start to skyrocket as a result of how capitalism is done and how business is done. When the supply of something goes down, the price goes up, and vice versa. What's keeping these people poor down there is the low price of oil. So these people here would do anything in the world to see gas go back up to $3, $4, $5 a gallon. Now what that corresponds to in price per barrel of oil, I'm not exactly sure. All I know is that that's the linchpin with these people, is the price of oil. Now, almost all of our oil comes from the Middle East, still. And we get some from Canada, and we at one time got some from down here. But there's this blurb. And this was the article I was waiting to put out, or someone to put out so I could cover it. Goldman Sachs just bought a bunch of bonds from Venezuela. And there's a whole bunch of people out there saying we shouldn't support that regime, we shouldn't prop up that government, and there's arguments for that. But there is a little blurb in this article down here that I wanted to cover about this, and you can find this. This is Bloomberg. Here's the little tiny itty-bitty bounce because of that purchase, and it's down here, and it's about the price of oil. Opposition lawmakers are now joining with academics and activists to decry bond investors' willingness to turn a blind eye to the chaos that's overtaking the country in exchange for fat interest payments. The argument is that providing financing to the government props up despots whose corruption and incompetence have ruined a nation that's home to more untapped oil wealth than any other country. Goldman says it isn't handing cash directly to the government. It bought the securities through a broker. Here we go. Perhaps giving President Nicolas Maduro more breathing room as he clings to power and waits for an upturn in oil prices to bring in more cash. So here we have an article that is pretty much couching and saying that these people in that region have a vested interest in doing anything at all to drive up the price of oil. Now, barring some other event in the world that would cause such a thing, let's look to Colombia. Remember this, I started here. In Colombia, they have just disarmed a very, very large group called the FARC. And I've covered this before. The Fuerzas Armadas Revolucionarias de Colombia, FARC. And they, with their exit, they left a giant vacuum, and a whole bunch of paramilitaries have come in, and they're vicious and cruel and terrible. But the problem is that you have thousands and thousands and thousands of men who are armed and who know what's really going on in politics. They understand that if this region is going to survive, if it's going to be wealthy again, it's going to be on someone to drive up the price of oil. And there's a real easy way to do that. Shut down the Panama Canal. Shut it down. It will drive up prices like no other. And we have seen a push in this country to become less dependent on oil from the Middle East. So there's that group of people. In their minds, the ends justify the means. So if that's what it meant doing, shutting down the Panama Canal, doing something down there to initially just spike it up to say, $5, $10, $12 a gallon, people would then be happy to see $4 a gallon gas. And that would put these people back on the map financially. And I know the people who elected Trump think that, we're on some road away from socialism now. You're out of your minds. You're out of your mind. This entire hemisphere and the world, to some extent, is headed towards socialism. The more people you have on the planet and the more they look to government for benefits, I mean, people say, we've earned our Social Security and we've earned our military benefits. It's still government benefits. It's still you looking to the government, waiting for that government check every month and getting dependent upon it and being less dependent upon yourself. And that's, and they try to make a delineation between themselves and those who are on Medicaid and those who are on what they call handouts, things that people didn't earn. But one way or the other, you're still looking to the government. And this was the whole thing I covered in 9/11, about the 9/11 symbology of the attack, the 911. Whenever there's a problem in your life, you run over to the phone, you tap 911, and the government agency comes running to the rescue, whichever one you need, police, fire, ambulance, whatever. But that's the point, and that is the point. Now, Panama, let's get back to that, okay? This is Newsroom Panama, okay? And they have covered this almost to the point of, ridiculousness. And having served down there, I can attest to this. A safe haven for criminals. I mean, Noriega just died. You can read about that. Noriega was the king of the criminals. It was the cocaine importation agency, the CIA, that put him in power. And I have a bunch of other acronyms for other government things too, but point being here that I'll read this to you and you can tell me what you think. Did you ever wonder why, with so many coming here from time to time speaking criminals, there are no gang wars? It's because Panama is seen as a neutral zone for meetings, safe houses, and relaxation, money laundering, and a distribution center for drugs. Purveyors of online pornography even hold an annual conference here. I could do a whole nother video on what happened with Natalie Holloway. A lot of people don't realize how close Aruba is to Venezuela. Aruba is not some island off in the British Virgin Islands. It is literally right on the northern coast of Venezuela, and I promise you that girl is perfectly alive and well somewhere. Well, maybe not well, but she's alive. Because they trade in women down there like you would not believe what they do down there. And that's also something they have in common with the Middle Eastern. So the enemy of my enemy sort of thing. You see, there's people in the Middle East that want to see the fall of America. And they know that shutting down that canal would do it. And there's people in South America and in Central America who have a vested interest in it. And then you have a whole bunch of people right next to it who are poor and starving and dying. There was another article back on, where was it? It was actually this Goldman Sachs article, I believe. It's right up here at the top. Let me cover this. This is astounding. Let's see. It's the average adult in Venezuela has lost 19 pounds because of the starvation. Now imagine that, folks. It's here somewhere. I'm sorry. I know the screen is running up and down here. I'm trying to find it while I'm talking. But the point being here is that when you have starving people, they do anything. They will do anything. And it's not here. I'll find it later. But the point is, it's a terrible, terrible, terrible situation that's going on down there, and the entire situation is ripe. It is absolutely ripe for a major intervention in that region by either terrorists, people from the Middle East, or people who just want to drive up the price of oil. I'm telling you, folks, and the way it's being buried, and I covered this in yesterday's video, the way no one is covering it, no one's talking about it, this is so much more of a present threat than North Korea ever will be in the next 10 years. They won't be. I mean, it's too far away. They're threats to local people in the region, but trust me, the people in the region have a good handle on them. They really do. There's nothing that they're going to do to upset the apple cart over there. So, anyway, I have a dog wanting to go out at the moment, so I have to cut this video short. Like, share, subscribe. Thank you very much. I sure appreciate it, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.